Hello and welcome to Dad Got This. And today we're going to find out the answer to a couple questions. One of them is, why didn't the cow cross the road? Because they didn't want a brisket. That's right, I'm doing brisket again. I can't help myself. I'm a glutton for punishment. This is like the mecca of barbecue, and I've never gotten it exactly right. My last one was pretty good. Now, I'm going to use some tips and tricks that I've learned over the last couple briskets, looking on YouTube, and we're going to try a couple new different things on the Ninja Woodfire Pro XL and see if we can get, like, the best brisket I've ever had or cooked. Probably not had, because I've had some really good briskets from professional barbecue places. First thing I did was I got a prime brisket. I didn't go choice. This was on sale at my local big box store, and it was pretty inexpensive. It was only $5 a pound. It's a very small brisket. It's only 8.5 pounds. I'm probably not gonna trim much off this guy. Let's see what we get. Doctor, 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 doctor. I think on my last one, I aggressively trimmed too aggressive. She's a weird looking brisket, but it was the best one they had. It's got like this little weird tail on it, kinda. Like this bit I didn't like, but I was willing to go with it. I'm going with a light trim. So this is like heavy decal fat, so we'll cut that off. Now all these trimmings I'm gonna use to make burgers later. I've done that and they came out fantastic. I also used the fat to make my own homemade beef tallow, which we will be using in this cook. So since this is technically the meat side, and this is not good fat, I'm gonna try to take off pretty much all of this chunk right here so we can get our bark to stick, because the seasonings and the bark don't really like to stick to fat. The other benefit of this being a little guy, it should cook pretty quick. There we go. Finally got some meat. Okay. Now I'm just removing some of this fat at the top because I think it's going to prevent our bark, but not a lot. Just that, any loose bits of fat. That should be good right there. Now I got to figure out what this is. If that is just a chunk of fat, which it looks to be, it has some meat on it. We're going to cut off a majority of this thing, whatever this thing is. But I'm getting some meat. All right, I'll stop there. That's got meat. Okay, that thing is a little bit tall, so that's gonna not really cook well. If we tuck that in there, that might be okay. Okay. Flip. Feels pretty hard over here. We'll go ahead and, yep, that's just decal fat. Okay, we're starting to get to a little bit of meat right there at the edge. Meat, gotcha. Now we want to take this fat cap down to about 1/4 of an inch. Oh, still got to trim this edge. That is just straight fat. All right, I kind of got to a little bit of meat right there. I don't think I'm going to have too much burger meat out of this guy. More fat. All right, I scalped it. I hit it right there. So this guy we're going to kind of leave alone, brush some of that fat over there. You can see this like white fat is the thicker fat. Oh yeah, I got lots for tallow. One little trick you can do is cut yourself a little hole, and that will tell you how far down you have to go to meat. So I still got quite a ways I can pop off the end here to get this guy down before I hit meat. Let's say I'm pretty happy with that. We'll round off the edge. They always say to round off the edge on the pro guys. I think that's more for cooking on an offset cooker for airflow, but we'll do it. It does give you a nice presentation. And at this point, I'm gonna call it. Not too much of a trim this time. A lot less than I trimmed off the last one. But I think this will be a nice little brisket. Now, On to seasoning. I have always struggled with seasoning a brisket. Last time I got it pretty good with my ratios, but this time I am cheating. I'm gonna use some Buc-ee's brisket rub. We recently took a trip down to Tennessee and we had Buc-ee's for the first time. Very first Buc-ee's I've ever been to. And their brisket was pretty good.
They have an excellent sale one. Get some stuff in there.
So, I grabbed some brisket rub from Buc-ee's, and we're gonna give this a try on our brisket. Smells great. They've got some, okay. So here are the ingredients. Sea salt, black pepper, chili pepper, cumin, turmeric, dehydrated garlic, sugar, dehydrated onion, corn syrup, natural flavorings. It says salt, it says pepper, it says everything in it that I need. And I'm gonna use this to season the brisket. One of the other things I saw from I think it was Franklin, season it less than you think. So I was going for like a fully crusted brisket. I don't think I need to do that. So I'm just gonna go with a light seasoning of this. For seasoning, always season from up high. That is gonna give you your best coverage evenly. And you see, I did the fat side first because we're gonna cook this fat side down. So I want my presentation side to be the last side I season. I'm not using any binders. I don't feel like I need it. This is pretty sticky as it is. We'll flip-a-roo. Hit the sides up a little bit. As Chud's Barbecue would say, I don't want to make a rookie move and not season the sides. That's it. I'm gonna go with a nice light coating and we're good to go. Time to set up our smoker. For this cook, I'm going with my Smokin Pecan pellets. I really like the flavor these give. I think on this brisket, it is gonna be perfect with the match of these spices. Additionally, in my testing, these seem to smoke longer than any other pellets that I've used. That'll be helpful over this extremely long cook. Step 1, fill up your pellet hopper. Step 2, drop it all over the brisket. Step 1.2, after you've filled up your brisket and dropped it on your brisket, clean that up, then do the dad shake. That either separates the pellets and gives it lots of air, compacts the pellets and makes them better, or does absolutely nothing. Either way, I do it every time. Ooh, Ethel's angry. What's the matter, Ethel? Is Fred late? That's Ethel. She's our nesting sandhill crane who lives behind our house. I think she's yelling because her husband Fred is on his way. She usually does that. We'll see if he shows up. I have loaded my pellets in here. We are gonna go ahead and turn this guy onto the smoker setting. And we're going all the way down to 200. I'm gonna smoke this thing as low and as slow as I possibly can. It is about 9:30. This thing could go for 10 plus hours. So I've got a lot of time ahead of me. Now, I purposely picked a day that I don't have to be anywhere for an extended period of time. I will have to pick up my daughter at some point, but it's literally a pickup, come to the house, I'm here for the rest of the day. I've made that mistake in the past where I've always scheduled these cooks on days where I have to leave for 2 hours and it messes stuff up. I will be able to babysit this thing and take care of it properly. Now, we're gonna go 200 and time doesn't really matter. We'll set it for 12 hours. We're gonna set this up with the thermometers anyway. People have asked this question before. You didn't hit the wood fire button when you turned on the smoker. In the smoker setting, you don't have to hit that button. They don't even let you not turn on the wood fire button. It automatically smokes in the smoker setting. They kind of figure you want to smoke when you set smoker. That guy's done. We are going to use the Ninja's probes. I have done a test where I tested these probes against a bunch of other wireless probes. And for cooking the meat temperature, these things are bang on. So I got no problem. I'm gonna stick one in the flat and one in the point, so that way I can monitor the temperatures and know when we get to the stall. This is less about knowing the exact temperature of the brisket, just for funsies kinda, because we're gonna really cook this bad boy to probe temperature. I'm going for peanut butter, Skippy peanut butter, baby. That's what I'm going for this time. For locations, I wanna go, we'll go right here. kind of dead center. And then we'll go with one, same thing, monitoring both sides of the brisket. Once this feller comes up to temp, it is nice and smoky, we'll stick this guy in here. Minutes in, and we have smoky goodness already happening. Because we're only cooking at 200, that didn't take long, just a couple minutes. Ooh, look how smoky and good that looks. Okay, let's get this bad boy in there. Like a glove. Now we can take our 2 probes and plug them in. We're gonna close that bad boy down. And you know what? I'm not gonna set this up as a probe cook. I don't want this thing turning off. I'm gonna just let this go. I can monitor the probe temperatures in my Ninja app. Right now it tells me both places I've placed the probe are 44 degrees. That meat is pretty cold. And we're just gonna let this bad boy go. I'll check in every once in a while and we'll see how it's doing. See you later. We're at about 2.5 hours and it is my first pellet refill. Pellets lasted quite a long time. We'll also give the brisket its first look. According to the probes, both of them are at exactly 147 degrees right now. Not too bad. Fill our pellet hopper first. I have a spray bottle with 50% apple cider vinegar, 50% water, just in case we need to do some spritzing. Our moment of truth. Looking good. We do have some pooling on the top, which is going to ruin my bark, unfortunately. I do have a trick for this. We will use that. Here's my secret weapon. This is a trick I picked up from Harry Sue, the legendary barbecue master. Little chunk of wood. Now, we strategically place this chunk of wood somewhere underneath our brisket. Is lift off that area to promote the fat running down. I'm also early enough in this cook where I think I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of my rub in the area that pooled at to hopefully build that bark back up. I didn't see the need to spritz anything at all. We are at the 6-hour mark. Not too bad. I've only had to do 2 pellet refills so far. Let's go ahead and see where everybody's at. Thermometer number 1 is 170. Thermometer number 2 is 160. So we are in the stall. Let's take a look at how she looks. My little trick is doing okay. I still have some of that fat seepage issue, but I love the color on this guy. Now, on a brisket, 170 is not done. We need to get to like 203-ish before we can even start probing for doneness. My question is, do I just ride it or do we Texas crutch it and wrap it? I'm gonna wrap it, and I think I'm gonna wrap it in butcher paper with some tallow. Let's do that. Mad about something. Now I'm gonna try to wrap it where I can keep the probes in because I'd like to monitor the temperature and know where we're at. This guy is some homemade tallow. The last time I made a brisket, I cut all the fat off and I rendered this down. And now I have my own tallow, and we are going to add a healthy amount. What is that gonna do? Supposedly, it's going to add tenderness and juiciness to our brisket. We're gonna wrap this bad boy up like a little present. And now we're gonna go return it onto the smoker. Now, I believe this is the upside down part. Yeah, this is the bottom, so we need to flip this bad boy when we put it back in. Not really worried about my wood anymore. Wrap procedure done. The butcher paper is supposed to allow a little bit of extra smoke to still hit it while it's in there. And we can go ahead and kick the temperature up to 250. All right, see you in a little bit. It has been about 2.5 hours since we wrapped that brisket. The probes say they are at 193, which is about a good time to check this sucker for doneness. We're gonna probe it and see if it's ready to go. Looks pretty good. Let's check it for tenderness. That's butter. That's butter. That could be a little bit. Okay, that's a little tight. So back here, perfect. Up here, a little hard. We're going back. We'll check it in another hour. 10 hours. We are going on 10 hours on this cook. Let's see if it's hopefully ready. I mean, we got no resistance there. That's hard. See, underneath, we go right in. I'm torn here. I don't know if I need to let it go longer. I'm gonna give it one more hour and then call it. After that hour, I'm going to wrap it and stick it in my toaster oven at 140 degrees for an overnight rest. See you in the morning. Welcome to day 2. Why is this here? Because I used it as a warming oven. My air fryer oven in the house had an issue where it would only stay on for 4 hours at a time. I didn't want to wake up every 4 hours to turn it back on. I realized I can set this to smoker 145 and it'll go for 12 hours. So that's what I did. I left this on my patio last night at 145 with the brisket wrapped up here, and it went for 12 hours. We are a little over 12 hours. This shut off about 45 minutes ago. So let's pull the brisket out and see how it looks. Now, why did I do that extremely long heated rest? Because apparently, according to all the barbecue restaurants and everything in Texas, that's what they do, and they get a better result from it. So I wanted to try it. Oh my gosh, this thing is dark. Seeing it now, it's still pretty hot. Oh, that is butter. A little bit of crisp there, but I'm okay with that. Man, this thing is dark. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna separate the point from the flat here. I think we should be able to easily tell that. Ooh. And then you want to slice against the grain. Get through the bark. Okay, here we go. This is not the thickest of briskets, but that's pretty good. All right, this is the flat. She's juicy. That is what I would call acceptable. All right, let's try a slice right from the center. Okay, it's supposed to do that. Then we'll try one from the center of the flat. Supposedly like pencil thin. Okay, the pull test. That's good. The most important test in anything. How does it taste? Oh my gosh. Ooh, that is good. In my opinion, could use a little extra salt, but it's not under seasoned. I could just use a little punch. Oh, wow. Now that was the point. Let's try this piece here from the flat. That is perfectly tender, juicy as all get out. I mean, look at that. This was a weirdly shaped brisket, so I think that's why it came out this way, but that's a win. That is legitimately the best brisket I've ever cooked and very close to some restaurant briskets that I've had before. Tenderness is off the charts perfect. Absolutely bang on. Wrap up. How did we achieve these results? We did 6 hours at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 107 degrees Celsius. Uncovered with the pellets going the whole time. I did about 3 pellet changes. Then we wrapped it up in butcher paper, added some beef tallow, and stuck it back on the smoker at 250 degrees for roughly 6 hours until I was able to probe in that thing like I was probing into some peanut butter, into some Skippy. After that, I wrapped it up tightly in aluminum foil, stuck it in the Ninja Woodfire outdoor oven at 145 degrees Fahrenheit or 63 degrees Celsius for 12 hours to rest. And we ended up with what is the most delicious brisket I have personally ever cooked, which I'm going to now eat one more piece of. If you enjoy this content, I would really like it if you could like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it to a friend. Interacting with the videos is way important for growing this channel. It's not like TV where just watching it, YouTube's like, oh great, they watched it. No, you gotta interact. If you leave a comment, I'll respond to your comments. I respond to just about every comment on this channel. Also, if you would really like to support me, you could become a member. Right now, the benefits are a member shout out for one member during every video, producer credits for anyone who is a member at the end of every video, and depending on the level you get, you can even get on my Christmas card list. It's a way of helping support this channel and helping me do crazy, cool, fun things like this. Now, I'm looking at doing more in the future. I'm looking at maybe doing some product testing and where I buy a couple products or I have a couple products sent to me and then members can get the product because I don't need all these grills. I have too many of them. Maybe a member will get one of the products. It's what I'm thinking about. If you guys have ideas for membership benefits that you think would be great, also, please let me know in the comments. I would appreciate it. Now, we have to answer one last question, and that is, why didn't the cow go to the comedy club? Because he was afraid to get roasted. Dad may tell bad dad jokes, cook fantastic brisket, not be able to say the word brisket. But one thing Dad doesn't ever do is an outro. So that's it. Bye.
And at this point, I'd like to thank our member and producer. I'm not even going to try that.